Well, we somehow got another free machine. This is a 2015 Honda Ruckus scooter. And this one has a pretty crazy story. So I was in this guy's garage buying another bike, and I saw this thing in the corner of the garage, kind of just sitting there. It looked really rough. So I asked the guy, I said, how much do you have to have for that thing over there? And he said, actually, it's a long story. He said, I just bought that thing for $250 from a guy who actually crashed it. It was in an accident. He thinks the frame is bent, the steering stem's bent. He said everything's bent on it. And he said it was going to take a ton of money to restore. He said he regretted buying it, and he said the more he looked at it, the worse it got. So he said he paid $250 for it, and he thought that was too much. So he told me I could have it for free if I bought the other bike for full price, which I was already getting a steal on the other bike. So I said, deal. And I guess he knew me from the channel. He watched the videos, and he said he hoped I could get this thing up, running, and driving. But he said, just beware, it's going to take a lot of money. So we technically got this thing for free. So let's take a look at it. It's a bit rough. You can see it got laid down on this side over here. So all the plastics are broken. Frame is bent in. Clutch cover case is all cracked and missing. I do have the original one with it. Air box, air filters off of it. I think that's included in the box of parts that came with it. Blinkers broken off. He said it doesn't run. Doesn't even turn on. I don't think there's a battery in it. So I mean, it's really rough. He said he didn't know too much about it other than it got in an accident. Look at how crooked that thing is. That's supposed to be straight. So it's about... That's how far off it is. Holy cow, is that bad? Let's look from the front. Yeah. So this whole front end is tilted. Probably like 30 degrees that way. Wow. So I'm hoping the whole frame isn't bent and it's just the steering stem area. I don't know. It's pretty bad. But you can see, turn the key, nothing happens. I don't know if anything works on it. I don't know if the engine's salvageable. So this one's a complete mystery. So let's get this one off the trailer, start digging into it, see what we find. Alright, little walk around. This side doesn't look too bad. Tires aren't too bad. They hold air, I believe. Headlights are still intact. Front blinkers are. There's 4,222 miles on it. Oh, both brakes work. Cool. Yeah, this is the side that's rough. So this whole side is bad. This clutch got damaged, it looks like. It's dented in right there and right there. Yeah, it's all wobbly on there. Look at that. So that needs to be replaced right away. Belt looks decent. Oh, he said it was a 2015. It's a 2018. That's even better. Cool. And there's a big gouge in the frame there. Plastics are really cracked there, and then right here I'm a little worried about. That's the whole floor pan. So it's gonna take a lot of work. Well, we got this bike in the garage. Let's start digging into it. First thing we're gonna do is check the oil. Let's see what that looks like. A little dipstick here. Looks pretty clear. Filled up. Pretty darn close. Probably 3/4 of the way filled up on the dipstick. Oil looks pretty decent. Let's get a smell test. Yep. No gas in there. That's good. So oil checks out. Let's check the coolant. Right here, it says it's on the upper level. Let's just take this cap off and see what's going on. It looks like this little plastic piece comes off. All right, just zip this guy off. Huh, that's pretty cool. A little radiator, that's awesome. A little dirt in there. Get that out. Little cap right here comes off. I had no idea these scooters were liquid cooled. Coolant's really topped off. There's like pressure built up in there, which is not good. Get that cap back on. That could mean head gasket issues. See it all leaking out. And it looks like the drain for it's right there. So that's pretty cool. Alright, seat can come off. You just push that back and it locks into place on that metal piece there. So you just push up. And then you've got the pack and peg here. Owner's manual, a couple of receipts in there. Nothing else in there. So I think this whole bag can come out. Alright. What do we have here? So that's where you add the coolant. And we saw that that container was topped off. So it looks like this whole cover can come off. 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts holding that on. And then down here, what's this? Gas tank. Let's take a peek and see what's in the gas tank here. It looks pretty clean in there. I can't tell what the gas looks like, but I'm guessing it's not too old. It was last registered in 2024. The gas can't be too old in there, but it's not rusty or anything. Looks pretty good. So we can get the gas cap back on. We'll siphon out some gas here and see what that looks like before we attempt to start this thing. But so far, it doesn't look too bad. Registration card and title. So far, I'm really liking the way this thing comes apart. Pretty easy. I believe this whole thing can come out. I think the whole piece is one unit. This whole thing come off. That's pretty nice. There we go. So you can see that was smashed right there pretty good. Alright, so there's the gas tank. So it looks like that's pretty easily replaceable too. That just lifts right out. That's really nice. This machine is really easy to work on so far. And then here's the engine. A little carb in there. Everything's really easily accessible. I'm liking this. Honda did a pretty nice job designing this one. All the wiring looks to be intact in there. Everything's hooked up to the carb. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. Everything's hooked up to the airbox. I wonder if any of the case has damage from it hitting that side so hard right here. We'll have to kind of look and see. So far I'm not seeing anything. Looks like maybe that line was kinked right there, the gas line. See how that goes down? Possibly. Let's see where that leads to. It leads to a little pump there. Comes up into here. Goes right to the carb there. So we'll have to see if that fuel pump's working. Go into the carb. Alright, where's the battery on this thing? What's behind here? There's this fancy stuff in here. Alright, so battery's right in here. Got all the fuses there. This isn't hooked up. I don't know what that's for. A couple relays here. Blinker. Relay. CDI. Alright, so let's try to swap in a battery and we'll see if anything lights up here first. Alright, here are the fuses here. We've got a 10 and 20 amp fuse here. And then another 10 and 20 amp right here. Let's just pull those out and see what those look like. I think these are the spares here. It looks good. Alright, that one looks good too. And we can test those with the continuity tester as well. Okay, here's one too. That doesn't look too bad. Alright, we should hear a beep. That one's good. Checking the spares right now. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. Alright, so fuses look good. Found one. That should work. Let's see if anything lights up here. Alright, turn the key. Oh, Something happened. It's clicking. Huh. Clicks for a brief second. That's the start button. None of the blinkers are working. What the heck? Interesting. Is there like a tip sensor on here or something that triggered from this thing crash? Because look, you hit the start button. No, it's not doing anything. It just turns on for a brief second and does nothing. It's trying to. Why is that so weak? You know, maybe the battery is dead. Shouldn't be. Should we hook up a jumper to it? We can just hold it here. Let's just see if that works. Nope. It's doing the same thing. That is very strange. What's that about? Should have more than 12 volts. Yeah, 12.49. That's not good. So something's going on. Turns on for a brief second and then just dies and everything doesn't work. We can try taking the spark plug out, but none of the lights are working. Blinkers aren't. Horn's not, so it's like not getting power. Let's see if you have to have the clutch in. There's the horn. Worked for a brief second. Connection issues going on somewhere. Alright, so this is the deal. You can see it just blinks for a brief second and then turns off. So everything has power for a brief second and it turns off. So I looked up the problem and a lot of people said that if the fuel pump isn't connected, the wires going down to the fuel pump, you'll have similar issues. So let's take a peek at that and see what's going on. Okay, so here's the wire going to it. And that's all melted. Look at that. That is definitely melted. It's all misshaped. Huh. Let's try now. It just clicks. I think that might be the problem. Ooh, that's cracked. Look at that. That fuel pump is cracked. Look at that. There's a big crack right here. All these are wobbly. That's not good. So I think we need a fuel pump for this thing to work. Alright, let's just take this off. Gas is pouring out of here. So you can see. So when it crashed, it probably wrecked that. Looks to be broken out there. Try to get this line off and we can see if we can fix this one up. I doubt it, but it's not looking too good. So here's the fuel pump. You can see positive and negative. So I'm going to turn this on. And it should start pumping as soon as we touch this to negative. Oh, there we go. It's working. Just trying. So it's not really making a good connection. So we're going to try to rip this off. We can try to plastic weld it back, but I'd like to take this piece off so we can try to solder it at least. Cut my finger there. Alright, let's see what we're dealing with. Actually, the whole plate is cracked right there. Can you see that? Yeah, so I don't think that's gonna work. I think this pump is too far gone. Let me see what this one's supposed to look like. Yeah, I think once that green paper rips like that, you're kind of out of luck. We're gonna have to go order up a new pump before we can move on. All right, a few days later, we got a used pump off of eBay. Hopefully it's the same kind. Here's the old one. Let's see if it matches up here. Like that. It looks like it, doesn't it? So we're gonna hook this one up and see if that fixes our problem. All right, so this goes on to here, like that. Arrow's pointing that way, so that's the flow. This goes on here like that. Alright, gas tank is hooked up, the new pump is hooked up, all the wires are hooked up. Let's get the last wire hooked up here, the gas tank, and we'll see if anything happens when we turn it over. So before it was just clicking. Let's see. Alright, pump is coming on. That's a good sign. Alright, and it stopped. Let's see if it works. I think we need the clutch pulled in. Let's see. Look at that. Cool. Blinkers work? That one does. This one I think is broken. Tail light's working. And this blinker. Oh yeah. Awesome. Then the headlights, I think only work when the bike is running here. Everything's working. Yeah, pump comes on. Everything stays on now. Can you hear the pump going? Cool. So the pump fixed their problem. Alright, so I'm pretty sure that was the main issue with this thing. I'm sure the guy that bought it for 250 bucks tried to jump it and it wouldn't do anything, and he's like, yeah, forget it. Oh, here's the boot. We can take a quick look at the boot here. Make sure that's still attached. Yep, that looks good. You can see the wire exposed there coming through. So we can put that right back on. See if the plug was loose in there. Nope, that was on there. Alright, let's try to get that out. Ooh, that's white. Yeah, so I think he threw a new plug in. Thinking maybe that was the issue. Yeah, they tried working on it. Looks like they couldn't figure it out. So let's see if we have spark. Alright, turn this thing on. Gotta hold the clutch in. Oh yeah. Look at that. Really good spark. Alright, well, we have spark. We're heading in the right direction here. Alright, compression for the Ruckus should be around 150. Online it says 125 to 150, which is pretty high. Let's see what we get. It's not screwing in. I think our threads aren't long enough here. Took the O-ring off. Let's see if that'll be enough to twist in there. Maybe. It's probably not gonna be the most accurate, but those threads are not grabbing too good. Let's see if we get any type of reading here. It'll probably blow that right off there. Around 100 PSI. That seems pretty low to me. Will it be enough to start? Like I said, our compression reading probably isn't the most accurate. We're grabbed on about one thread, so it's probably not sealing. Okay, I mean, it's like literally one thread is holding that gauge in. So, yeah, we'll have to see if this thing just fires up. Maybe we'll gain compression, but I'm guessing compression is seeping by right here because that O-ring I had to take off to make those threads longer. So it's not a super accurate reading. All right, so we have good spark and we have some compression. So now we're gonna work on the fuel system. Let's see if the fuel pump's working first. I can see some fuel. All right, let's see if it pumps out. It's pumping some. Let's keep on going with it. Kind of a slow pump. I'm guessing these scooters don't need a whole lot of gas. Kind of a trickle. Just want to see what this gas looks like. Alright, that should be good. So the pump is working. Alright, it looks pretty clear. Doesn't look too bad. I don't see any water in the gas at all. So that fuel is probably still good. Clamp here. One clamp here. You've got your breather hose here. Take that off. This looks like the automatic choker. This thing just pull out of here. There we go. Come on. Wow, that's on there. I want to break the electronics off here. Quick pop that off there. There we go. There we go. So there's actually coolant lines going through the carb. Alright, carb is finally free. Let's take a look on the inside, see what's going on. You can see all the gas coming out, so it was getting gas. A lot of gas coming out. Wow. Really, really clean. Yeah, almost spotless. Well, that's weird because we tried cranking this thing over quite a bit and it wouldn't fire. So something's got to be going on. Float looks good. Little needle coming out. Looks perfect. Alright, let's take a look at the jets. Maybe the pilot's a little clogged up. Here's the main jet first. That is clear. Looks good. Alright, and then the pilot. It's got to be clogged, right? Yep. Oh yeah. So pilot is really clogged. So that's why this thing wasn't firing up once we got that fuel pump working. Or it could be low compression too. You know, we had just 100 PSI, so it might be struggling there. But yeah, having the pilot clog doesn't help. So we'll blow through that, make sure that's all clear. Choke piece here. See if that's working. Take off the cover. Alright, so this mechanism is the automatic choker. And in the resting position right now, you can see this moves up and down like that. This is choke fully on. So as it sits in the carb right now, that little needle sits in there like that. That needle is not far enough down to shut off that fuel. And that's why the choke is fully on. So when you start up the machine, it sends power to the two wires here, negative and positive. And what happens is this needle slowly comes out of this mechanism here and then slowly shuts off that fuel. It's a very gradual thing. So if this automatic choke was not working, you would have choke on all the time. So it'd be running rich all the time. So you really want that to work. Otherwise your machine is going to be boggy and it's not going to run right. It might start up easy, but as it warms up, it'll run really bad. So what we're going to do is take a negative and positive wire, hook it up to here, and we should see this slowly rise. If it doesn't, we know it's bad. And we're just going to hold this to the wire. We don't want this touching. All right, here we go. Let's see what we get. It's working. It's very, very slow. You can see the space growing between the plunger and the plastic. And pretty soon you'll be able to see the space pretty clearly. See how now you can see the space between there? So it just opens up just a very small amount. But yeah, that definitely raised up. So that automatic choke is working properly. All right, this is still coming down a little bit, but you can see it's past the plastic mark. So it's coming back down, that plunger is. So we know that the automatic choke is working. All right, last part of the carb to check is the diaphragm. Let's see what that looks like. Looking for any rips in here. Looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is blow through this with compressed air, a little brake cleaner, and get this all cleaned up. Alright, carb is all back together. Let's get that back onto the bike. Alright, carb is all back on, installed, throttle's working. Everything's hooked up here. So before we go attempt to start it, let's deal with this clutch issue. I don't want this thing starting up and wrecking it. Look at that. So that's all wobbly on there and dented in. So let's get that off and fixed and replaced. We bought a couple parts for it. Alright, let's see if we can zip this off. Whole thing pull out? Yep. Looks like it. I don't know if you have to have a puller for this one. Let's see. What's behind there? All rollers. What the heck? That's why that case is holding it on. See that? That got smashed in. Can't come past that. That's why. Oh boy. We have a new clutch, so we can see if that's enough to get it out. No. Wow. Just kind of bend that back a little bit. Oh, come on. There we go. Got her to come. So there's that clutch. Doesn't look too bad. I think it was mostly the cover. I'm hoping this rod's not bent. That's the main thing, but we're gonna try to pound this out a little bit. Let's just see if the new clutch will go on. Here it is. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. And here is the new cover. That goes on there just like that. All right, so we've got the plate on here with the rubber pieces on there. All the rollers are in there. That goes on just like that. Pushes on like that. And you can get this on, keeping tension on it. Push it all the way back like that. And then we can get our belt on. Goes on like this. And that has little tabs that shoot out. That goes on like that. And then your nut and your washer. Put the belt right like that. There we go. There we go. And that goes on just like that. Now I actually have the old cover right here, and you can see the damage done to it. Big hole there. That's why it was all dented in. We got a new one right here. A little bit better. So we can actually get that fitted up. So this piece activates as you kick it over and should spin the clutch here. Oh, it's working. Cool. I don't think this one's gonna. All right. Oh, hey, that's fixed. Cool. And then here are all the old parts that we don't need. All right, working on the air box. Here's the air filter for it. That's gonna sit there like that. Here's the cover, so that's gonna sit in there just like that. So as we put the cover on, it should work like that. That looks pretty good. All right, air box is back on, new clutch is on. We got a brand new battery in it, a new spark plug, a new fuel pump, or used fuel pump that's working. And now we've got the carburetor cleaned out, so we're getting gas flow to the carb. So we should be good for the fuel system. The compression was a little bit low at 100 PSI, so hopefully that doesn't affect it too much. And then we have good sparks. So this thing should fire up. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Nothing. Run it. Barely. Idling. There we go. Thing is quiet. Holy cow. Barely hear it run. It's not running the greatest, is it? I think that back wheel's toast. Check this out. A little wobbly, huh? That's pretty bad. That's not good. You're staying idling, but it doesn't rev out the greatest. So you could see I was covering the intake with my hand, the carb intake, and it runs a lot better like that. So something's off with the air filter or the air box. That has to be perfect for this thing to run right. So it's kind of how you test that. You just hold your hand to the carb and kind of find the sweet spot. Feeling pretty good. It's just the back tire is completely bent, really, really crooked. But so far it's not too bad. At least it's running. Look at that. That's my main concern. I can't tell if it's the actual wheel or the axle. I think the axle looks pretty straight. Knocks off a bit. Runs a lot better without it. See if the headlights are working. Yep, headlights are working. Cool. Sounds really good at idle. Yeah, she fires right back up too. So if we can figure out that airbox situation, I think we'll be good. All right, I don't think that airbox is sealing completely because it's kind of bent up. So that could be the problem, but it's revving out pretty good now once you get going with it. Definitely better. I think the only way to fix it completely and have good throttle response is having that airbox completely sealed. So I think we might have to buy a new airbox. All right, so we've got it running pretty good. Let's try to fix the bend in the frame. So I ordered up a new one right here. The whole triple tree. So at first I thought the bend was like the triple tree that maybe bent that way. But we ordered up a new one, and I don't think it is that. I don't think it is the triple tree. Because when you look at it, this is actually straight right here. So that all goes straight. And when you look at the frame here, you can see this whole thing is straight here. But this whole thing is shifted, so I think it's the actual frame. So right where it connects to the frame right here and right here, I think that whole thing got bent. Unfortunately, the main aluminum piece down there is bent. Well, I think what we're gonna do is put all new plastics on it and see what it looks like and attempt to ride this thing. So we've got a new plastic piece for here. Here's the old one. You can see that one's pretty beat up. Got a new one here. This one's black, which is fine. That's gonna go. All right, here's the new floorboard. That looks a lot better without the broken plastics everywhere. But she's still really, really bent. So I think the only way to fix that is to get a new frame. We're gonna have to get a new frame. Look at that. Oh, is that bad? Will it ride like this though? That is the question. We've got the wobbly wheel and the crooked frame. Will it move? save. Oh, Vinny's tired. We clocked him going 25 miles an hour uphill. He's fast. He caught up to me. I was going full speed. That was uphill. This thing probably goes 35 the way the way the air box is set up. It's kind of rough. Yeah, he's tired now. He's like, why is that thing so crooked? You want to go for a ride, Vin? He likes that one. But yeah, it's really weird. You can't even tell that the wheel is so wobbly like that, or that the whole frame is crooked. I could not tell at all. It rides perfectly straight. So, I don't know. That's really weird. Thing's pretty fun. I think once we get the correct air box and the frame, it'll be really nice. Alright, so big update in the trespasser on the new land situation. We caught a picture of the guy here, and it's not a kid. This is a full-grown adult. You can see they're wearing Nike shoes there, sweatshirt, sweatpants, and this was, I think yesterday, I got this on camera. I went out there yesterday, and I didn't catch him. And there was actually one more photo that came up, I think it was today, of another guy that was down there in a red sweatshirt. So here's the picture from today. There was another guy out there. They're doing something with this table and this rock. I don't know what they're doing, but there's a rock on a table right here. I can show you guys when I get out there. But they keep on going back to this table. What's on the table with the rock? I don't get it, but it's definitely not a kid. 100%. But we're gonna go try to see if we can find somebody wearing a red hoodie and what looks like Nike shoes. Alright, so here's the table I keep coming to. So there's the camera. It picks him up right here. We tore down the fort, stacked all the wood here. What are they doing with this rock? Looks like they're like scraping it. What the heck? What is going on? You can see a bunch of marks here on the table too. Alright, we've got the chip. Hopefully there's a video on there. Alright, we got him on video here. Interesting. Couple older guys. There's two people. One's in like a hat here, in camo. And one's in red. So they are adults. I don't know any of these guys. I've never seen them. They're not from around here. At least they don't live over here. So that is pretty interesting. So that's a pretty good picture of them right there. I'm gonna look for some more. There's a deer sitting there. Alright, let's take a quick ride around the lake. See if we can spot anybody that we caught on camera. Well, just got back from the land. This thing's running great. We tried to take it for a ride around the houses on the lake and look for that guy that's trespassing, but I didn't see him anywhere. I wonder if he's walking from a long distance away. There's two guys, so we'll have to keep a lookout for them. I have a young daughter, so that's why I'm a little bit worried about that. But hopefully we can find them and tell them to stop coming on the land. Yeah, I don't know. It could be dangerous. At least we caught him on camera and can identify him now. So this one is all fixed up. We're gonna order up an air box for it. Look for a new frame to straighten this thing out. And then obviously a new back wheel. This thing is really wobbly. So all in all, we'll probably have like 500 bucks into it, which isn't horrible. You know, we got this thing for free. So in total, we'll have 500 bucks into it plus all my time. And it will probably be worth like $1,500 to $2,000 when it's all said and done. So, you know, the seller did warn me about it. He said it was kind of a piece of junk and that it would need a ton of work to get going again. So I took it for free knowing the risk. And I was willing to spend some money to get this thing up and running again. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video on this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for the next video. And until next time, we are out.